The other evening I was sitting in my garden here at the Hermitage, and we all have this experience. My mind was wandering and thinking of things, random things. I started to think of the apartment I lived in London. I lived in that apartment for over 25 years, and I'm wondering, is that the longest I'll ever live in one place? It became so much part of me. And very close to where I lived, there was a Victorian cemetery, Nunhead Cemetery. It's one of the great Victorian cemeteries of London. The Victorians built all of these huge cemeteries around the edge of the centre of London. Some of them are very famous. Highgate Cemetery is very famous. It's where all sorts of famous people are buried. Nunhead Cemetery isn't famous for that. It's famous for a different reason. Nunhead Cemetery is one of the nature reserves of London. It's a walled cemetery. The cemetery walls are about 25 feet high. And inside, it is just filled with trees and with plants. It has become an urban forest. As you walk through it, you will see foxes, big red foxes with their bushy tails, would run out in front of you from the undergrowth. A rabbit will come. And in the trees, they are filled with parrots. We have lots of parrots in London. Weird as that may sound, a couple of parrots, they conjecture, escaped from their cage. They were extremely successful. We now have thousands. And you can be sitting in a park, anywhere near where I live, anywhere in London really, and suddenly a flock of 300-400 parrots will come, they'll sit in the tree, and you'll be surrounded by the chirping of these ring-necked parrots. You have to pinch yourself sometimes to remember that you're in Northern Europe. It is a truly beautiful place, Nunhead Cemetery. It's a jewel. Wonderful place to walk, quiet, reflective. You'd almost forget what it was built for. Because if you peer through the undergrowth, if you peer through the vines, the ivy, the trees, you will see the outlines of the tombs. The tombs are very overgrown. The names are extinguished. It's almost impossible to fight your way through the undergrowth to even get to them. At one point, these people were loved by the people who built the tombs that they are buried in. But now they are forgotten, perhaps. They certainly are faded from memory. The celebration we are starting this evening, this particular part of the celebration, has at its very centre memory. It is an invitation to explore memory, to reflect on memory, and to allow the memory to transform us. In the first reading, we heard from the book of Exodus. We hear of the Passover. This is the celebration of the night in which the blight that was being visited on the Egyptians passed over the people of Israel. And it is the prelude to their liberation from slavery in Egypt, and very soon after they move out of Egypt. And it ends with this line: "This day will be a memorial feast for you, which all your generations shall celebrate as a perpetual institution." And even today, Jewish communities around the world remember this event. They celebrate the Passover. It is central to the living memory of the Jewish people. Now, our second reading is from the first letter to the Corinthians. And Paul is telling us there, he's describing the establishment of the Eucharist. He tells us of the meal that Jesus shared with his disciples. This is the first Eucharist that we have heard. described by Paul. He gives them bread, he gives them wine, and he tells them that this is his body, this is his blood. Do this in remembrance of me. And Paul adds to those words, for as often as you eat of this bread and you drink of this cup, you proclaim the death of the Lord until he comes. Do this in remembrance, in memory of me. Memory is of enormous significance to human beings, both to us individually and to us as a group. Because what we remember and how we remember, it shapes not only how we tell of our past and who we were, it tells us who we are now, and it tells us where we want to go. It's all based on our memory. It grows out of that. And this evening we commence this celebration of a memory of the entire Christian people that has not faded. It's the memory of the passion, death and resurrection of Jesus. And this evening we reenact one of the events in that sequence. It becomes real again as we remember it. It is a memory of a most powerful type. It's a memory that challenges us, it disturbs us, it demands that we make a response. And broadly speaking, there are two responses to a powerful memory. The first is a bit like I was doing in the garden the other day. It wasn't a particularly powerful memory. It can become a nostalgic memory. Our memories become nostalgia, sentimental. They almost anaesthetize us from the power of the memory. In this case, we rush very quickly to resolving the challenge the memory gives us. We're uncomfortable with being unsettled and we want to get back to things as normal. We want to get back to the status quo. In relation to this particular triduum, or to the Christian life in general, rushing too quickly to the resurrection without realizing the implications of the cross would be one way of resolving the uncomfortableness of the memory. The second type is to allow the memory to act on us and for us to act from it. This is sometimes called, in theological terms, a dangerous memory, because it transforms us and potentially we will never be the same again. Sometimes this is not a good thing. There are destructive memories that are poisonous, that have great power, and they too can transform us. This is the root of feuds, of blood feuds, of violence, of hatred of people, of scapegoating, where the history, if you like, blinds us to logic, and we substitute one unfairness, one injustice, with another. You'll see this on every page of the news that you click on, or every page you turn over in the newspaper. Destructive memory. People being blamed for things that not even their parents did or their grandparents did. People being blamed for things that are out of their control, the colour of their skin, the country they come from, the language they speak. Destructive memory. But there is another type of dangerous memory. A memory that transforms us, that calls us to be different. And that's what we're being asked to remember this evening, this second type of memory. In what we do this evening, in the washing of the feet that we'll do fairly soon after I finish speaking, in the celebration of the Eucharist, we are saying and doing as a community what Jesus said and did, and what he charges his followers to do in memory of him. It's as if we are present in this moment that transcends time, transcends our ordinary experience of time. and somehow we're caught up in God's eternal time. It's as if that event of 2,000 years ago is happening right now. It's a powerful type of memory. And it's dangerous. Why? Because we are remembering this Jesus. He crushed no reed, he extinguished no wick. He was wholly innocent, and he was killed as an expediency. Like so many billions of people who are sacrificed on the altars of expediency, or prophets that don't consider the human consequences, or the environmental consequences of ideologies that revel in blaming and in hatred and division. Not just those who live today, but the billions of people who have faded from memory, much like the good people lying at rest in Nunhead Cemetery, and in cemeteries and battlefields and unmarked graves and marked graves across the whole planet, faded from memory. And why is this a dangerous memory? Because Jesus offers hope in that situation. Because as we remember Jesus' life, we remember his death, we remember his resurrection, we also remember that God has not abandoned anyone in history. No one has been abandoned to final humiliation or final defeat. There is still a future for the dead. There is still a future for the living. Because we're part of a community that transcends time and space, that transcends life and transcends death. What we celebrate this evening will transform us if we let it. And so what does he tell us to do? You heard it in the Gospel. He tells us to wash feet, to wash each other's feet. Just imagine for a second, if we took that seriously. I told you there were two approaches to memory. One is the nostalgic, sentimental, pacifying approach, which nullifies the power of that action. It's a quaint action done 2,000 years ago. We remember it once a year. Isn't that lovely? But imagine if we took it seriously. If we let that memory transform us, then it really would be a dangerous memory. If we were to do as he asked us, to serve one another, to serve every person we come across, to wash the feet of people we know and love, and to wash the feet of total strangers. If we were allowed for a moment by our limitations to let that through and to let it transform us, it would indeed be a dangerous memory because it would transform the whole world. But that is what we're called to remember. That is what we are going to enact in a few moments. This year, I have asked that rather than me wash everyone's feet, I'll wash the first few people's feet, but then I'd ask you to wash each other's feet. Now, it may be the person beside you is someone you know, someone you love, someone very well known to you. It's just as likely that the next person whose feet you wash will be a total stranger to you. And as the service finishes, as you reflect on what we do this evening, another memory of that to speak to you. Imagine if we took that seriously. Imagine if we here took it seriously. Imagine if we as a church took it seriously. Because Jesus says, if I, the master and the teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do.